If your gas oven or stove has quit working, or it's not heating up properly, or the control panel has died, well, stay tuned because today I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot the internal components as well as change out that control panel. Okay, step one, let's pull out this gas stove oven so we can work on it. Now I'll go ahead and remove this back cover to expose the components and wiring. We'll go ahead and set the cover aside. Now that we've got our cover off, you can see that the wiring is exposed. We have not unplugged our oven yet, so be sure not to touch anything. We will need to leave it plugged in for some voltage on troubleshooting. Also, most ovens will come with a wiring diagram. It's going to tell you the ohms or the resistance of some of the burners, how to remove the cooktop, and a general wiring diagram that will show you the layout of the wiring, the wire colors, and also some of the values so we can use this for troubleshooting. For today's troubleshooting, we're going to use the Fluke 87. You'll need a similar multimeter or something that can measure voltage, AC, as well as resistance. I'll put a link to this Fluke in the description. Now for my situation, my oven is heating up, but it's taking a very long time, and then it doesn't get as hot as it should be. It could be many things. These here are the electric burners. My oven has these built in to kind of keep the heat at an even level. These are the gas valves here. They have gate valves inside. These require a short burst of electricity to open up the valve, and then it lets the gas flow through to the oven. These could also be the culprit. I recommend going over your wire diagram and then just checking each of your components. Now, since we have the oven still plugged in, we're going to do some voltage on checks first and then unplug the oven and do some resistance checks. So the first thing we're going to need to do is actually turn on the oven. That way it's going to send electricity to the burners and to the gate valves to open up and let the gas flow, so we can check those things. Now my oven is a dual, so it has an upper and lower. We're first going to check the upper to check for the 120 volts AC, and as you can see, I do have 117, so that is within tolerance. Now never ever touch either of those terminals. You will get shocked with 120 volts AC. Doesn't feel well. Don't ask me how I know that. Okay, so next we're gonna check our valve here that lets the gas flow through. So we'll go ahead and fire up the top oven again. We're carefully going to check for AC voltage on that gate valve. We're getting about 2.7 volts. It's a very low AC voltage, so that's actually good. Now we're going to compare these values to the bottom oven, and that's a good way we can also check to see if the top oven is properly functioning. Okay, we've turned on the bottom oven, and we're going to check the gate valve on the very bottom. So again, low voltage AC, as you can see there, we're getting about 3 volts AC. So the top and bottom are very close. I feel that both of those are working, so we'll move on. Now another thing you can check with power off is the resistance of your pre-bake elements. But for the top element, we're getting about 17 ohms. For the bottom pre-bake element, we're getting about 11.7. The resistance of your pre-bake elements inside your oven are going to depend on the size and length of them. So again, refer to your wiring diagram for the correct resistance. Another thing that could malfunction on your oven is your temp sensors. Now I have a few temp sensors because this is a dual oven. They're usually a white wire that's going to go into a foam padded area. You can take the connector apart. Again, refer to your wiring diagram on colors and resistance values. Mine should be about 1.23 thousand ohms. Okay, now that we've determined that temp sensor is good, we'll go ahead and connect it. We'll go ahead and check the other temp sensor for the top oven, which is right here. They should be similar, but again, refer to your wiring diagram for your values. You'll definitely want to connect it before checking resistance. That way you're only checking the resistance of the temp sensor itself. Now if these temp sensors do go bad, it's possible that it's not reading your oven temps right, and that will lead to issues of not heating up correctly or at all. So it looks like our top sensor is about 1150 ohms or 1.15 thousand. So that's correct too, true to our wiring diagram. We'll go ahead and connect that back up. So we're having issues with the top and bottom oven, and they are actually heating up, but they're actually taking a long time, where the top oven takes about 45 minutes to heat up and the bottom convection is not working properly at all. So with these issues where we're having malfunctions with the top and the bottom, it's probably going to be our actual brain of the oven, which is the controller. Now, since we think we have an issue with the controller, we need to remove this back panel so we can gain access to the wiring and the plugs. So let's do that now. And as you can see, we have gained access to the controller. This is the brains of the oven and the stove. It is what actually tells each component to turn on and sends the voltages to the components. As you can see, there are some test points there that you can check. Now in my situation, I'm pretty certain that my controller has malfunctioned just because I'm having multiple issues with the top and bottom oven, and the components themselves seem to be checking good. If you need to, you can refer to your wiring diagram. It'll actually show you where each plug goes. It'll show you some of the test points, so you can do some additional advanced troubleshooting there if you need to. Now, since I will be unplugging and replugging in, I'm also dangerously close to some of these transformers and components here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and unplug my AC power. I no longer need to troubleshoot. Now I have unplugged power. As you can see though, there are a few capacitors in the circuit, so we'll just give it a few minutes to die down while I grab the new controller. Okay, now that we've let our capacitors discharge for a little while, we'll go ahead and unmount the control panel itself. Now before we go any further, it's a good idea to take a picture of the old circuit board controller, just so you know where all of the connectors go. The wire diagram will tell you, but this is an easy reference for later on. During the install, you can just match up the picture and plug the plugs in where they need to go. And take a good picture of that. It's time to go ahead and unplug all the connectors. Now that we've got all of our connectors removed, as you can see, there's a lot of them, and that's why you take the picture. Now I discovered that there also are 2 mounting screws on the bottom, which means I'm going to have to take off this whole front panel. Now that I've got the cover panel off the bottom, I've had access to the bottom 2 screws, so I'll take those off now. Okay, now that I've got all the fasteners removed from the cover, I should be able to just pop this right out, and the whole assembly comes out with the front attached. We'll go ahead and just install the new controller in reverse order. Go ahead and install the 4 screws on the lower shield. Now that we've got our lower shield on, it's probably a good time to go ahead and connect all of our connectors that we have good access to it. So we'll go ahead and use our reference pictures to go ahead and hook up the wires in reverse order from which we remove them. Okay, now that we've got all of our connectors plugged back in the correct spots, we can go ahead and fasten down our top panel. Now that we're done troubleshooting and replacing the control unit, it's time to put the back cover back together. Okay, now that we have the back cover back on, we have power turned on and the clock set. The only thing left to do is test it out and see how we did. And there you have it, it's heating up. The controller is working. And stay tuned, next time I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot an igniter glow plug and change that out as well on your gas oven. Hopefully now you've learned a few valuable techniques to troubleshoot your own gas stove or oven. And if you found today's video valuable, please subscribe to the channel here and watch our next video here.